Hi there. So today I just wanted to bring you a quick coding tip that I often encounter in my daily machine learning researcher life that might not be super common in, let's say, traditional software engineering or elsewhere. So often I have a bunch of, let's say I have a bunch of models, right? And I use these IPython notebooks or collabs to analyze my data, plot things, and so on. So I have a bunch of models. Let's say they're called M1 and M2. And I'll usually run my big jobs on a cluster. So let's say I have run some jobs, for one for each model, and have some logs that I want to analyze. So I'll go through my models, and here I load a bunch of logs, and I'll also compute some stuff, some statistics and some just things, right, that I want to have computed. And maybe these things are called A, and let's this and B, right? So now I've computed these things. Now I want to analyze them, and let's shortcut and say printing is plotting. So think of these. This might be numbers, right? And now I want to plot them here out. Let's just print them. Which I do this. Now every time I want to change something here in my printing, maybe I want the separator to be that. I'll have to load all the logs and compute all the stuff, right, each time I run this cell, which is not super cool, right? So I usually would like to factor out the plotting and stuff like this from the computation. So I could extract one of them into like a function, but then the point of these notebooks is that I can run each of the cells and they'll run right there, right? So functions aren't really cool in these notebooks. So what I'll usually end up doing is you'll have some second loop in here, right? And let's see, you'll have some data dict up here, and you'll here at the end you'll say something like data for this model is A and B or something like this, right? And then down here the first thing I do is I'll get my data, and then I'll unpack again. So DA, DB. Either I'll unpack or I'll just address them in dictionary notation like this, and then I can do my plotting, right? Some people use tuples here, right? They could just go A and B, but then you'll have to do this unpacking. The problem is now if I want to add something here, right? I compute something new. I now need to add something here, right? I need to remember to store it in the data array, and then I need to here remember to unpack it in the same order, right? And then I need to put it in the plotting, right? So this is very cumbersome. This line here and this line here, they're very because you kind of duplicate your variable names all over the place just because you want to compute them here and use them here. Now, a software engineer would usually tell you, let's do something like a data class, or in its most simplest form, is say you have a class, and there are multiple ways of achieving this, but let's just do A and B here. This is probably the most verbose. You can also do named tuples, adder classes, data classes, and so on. But ultimately, you'll produce a class like this, and then here you say this is a data class A and B, and then here down here you can at least address them like this, right? And you don't have to do the dictionary notation or remember the order. But now again, if you want to add the C, now not only do you have to add it here, but you have to add it up here, and you have to add it here, and beware if there's a doc string, and then you can use it here, right? This is just this is too cumbersome. So here is a trick, and please only use these in like notebooks like this. This will lead to so much memory problems and everything, and if you work with a software engineer, you might have to get them chocolate for doing this. But all right, so what you can do is you can save your local variables in this dictionary, right? So this is a built-in that saves the local variables sorry, that gives you a dict of the local variables. The local variables here are A, B, C, M, and all a bunch of other things, right? It's not clear in these IPython notebooks. They have a bunch of stuff around them such that the meaning is slightly different depending on where locals is. But in essence, you'll get the A, B, and C, what you want. Now, the locals dict refers, in order for this to go through, the locals dict refers, of course, to the same object. It's not newly constructed, so we're safe here to make a copy of that, right, like this. And then down here, we simply retrieve these local variables and update the current local variables using the local variables we stored. And voila, we can use A, B, and C without ever having defined them, right? If this doesn't work, that means that the locals here is a copy, basically, and this is a Python optimization. And I don't have to use it because in these IPython notebooks it appears to work, but you might want to have an empty exec statement here such that the Python interpreter can never be sure which variables are created in here and therefore can't optimize away. So that is a horrible trick. Again, don't build anything serious upon this, but it is very duper super easy. You can just add any variable here and then use it down here. So easy, right? And so wrong. All right, this was it. I hope you enjoyed this. I want to bring these kind of tips every now and then as an intermix into the research papers. I hope you enjoyed this. Bye-bye.